All right, let's look at April 8th week EFT main programming. So that's April 8th to April 13th. If you've paid close attention, if you have an eye for programming, if you have an eye for trends, you probably notice a trend with this cycle. We are progressing along in a multiple different attributes. So let's take a look at where we're at for April 8th. Now, Monday, front squats. We're back to front squats. We were at them 2 weeks ago, building to a 3 rep max, dropping 20%, and having 2 max rep sets. So now we're back to front squats, but we are doing build to a 1 rep max, drop 25%. So instead of 3, we're going to 1 rep max. Instead of 20%, we're going to 25% drop for the last 2 sets for max reps. And we're pairing that with 3 box jumps. Again, I've said it before, but I'll say it again in case this is your first EFT briefing video. Those jumps, the box jumps, you don't jump to the box. Jump as high as you possibly can and land down on the box. It's a landing point, not a target. All right, moving on. We got some hypertrophy work for reps of 8, lower body. And then we are really ramping up these short intervals, these short duration intervals for conditioning. On Mondays, last week was 8-minute efforts. 2 weeks ago was 7-minute efforts. This week, 9-minute efforts. So 2 bouts, 9-minute AMRAP, 400-meter run, 10 ground to overhead, 10 burpee over bar. Ground to overhead, I write it ground to overhead because I want you to get the weight from the ground to overhead, however you see fit. We're not trying to make you be experts in a particular movement. I've said that before as well. But you should be able to take something from the ground and get it up over your head, okay? As a law enforcement officer, that's something you should be able to do with a decent amount of weight. For this workout, we're prescribing 115 pounds or 75 pounds. The more, the better, but 9-minute AMRAP, 10 reps at a time, it's going to be a moderately lightweight. But getting something from the ground to over your head, I don't know, is incredibly important. So if that means clean and jerk, clean and press, if that means ugly reverse curl and push press or strict overhead press, whatever that means to you, getting the weight from the ground to overhead, that's how we want you to do it. Scale the weight appropriate for you, appropriate for your skill level, appropriate for the movement you're doing. So 9-minute AMRAP, as many rounds as possible, rest 5 minutes, repeat it. Try to go at an intensity you can maintain for both efforts. Don't go so hard the first 9 minutes that you don't even want to start the second 9 minutes. Go at an effort where at first it may seem easy, on the easy side, but by the end, at that same pace, it's like you're barely hanging on. That would be the perfect chef's kiss intensity. Now, if you're newer to fitness or if you're just not sure how hard to go, go easier to start and then just burn it down at the end if you have some left. But you'll hone in that intensity. Like if you've been doing these types of conditioning efforts for long enough, you'll know kind of where you should start and you'll have an idea of how that will finish. But that's all part of the process, it's all part of training. And then we finish with our sandbag bear hug carries. Again, that can be any kind of front racked carry you want. You could front rack a barbell, you could front rack some kettlebells, you could goblet hold a dumbbell. However you want to carry something on the front of your body, do that based on the equipment you have. Not everyone's going to have a sandbag or a sandbag that's heavy enough to really be a worthwhile stimulus. But go as heavy as possible, 3 rounds, 40 seconds, rest as needed in between those efforts. Let's take a look at Tuesday, April 9th. Now, for the upper body, it's the same thing. Same as yesterday, same progression, front squats from 2 weeks ago to front squats today. Same progression here with bench press. The only difference is the movement. We're going to build up to a 1 rep max. Do that safely, especially if you don't have a spotter. Have some spotters arms up. On bench press, I personally don't put collars on to hold the weight because if I do need to bail out, I want to be able to dump the weight. I don't want to be trapped under a bar with weights that are trapped onto the bar. Right? I'd rather be able to dump weight. But that's just me. Do it based on your experience level, based on what you need to do to be as safe as possible. Again, the best law enforcement officer is going to be an available law enforcement officer. And if you get hurt in weight training, then the training is not going to be any good to you because you're not going to be able to work in the field. So keep that in mind. Bench press paired up with ballistic push-ups is basically a push-up, jumping as high as you can every time, same as before. couple upper body hypertrophy movements, military press, bent over row. On the bent over rows, I've said this before, but it bears repeating. Make sure you get a full range of motion, a full stretch at the bottom. Try to get your upper body as parallel to the ground as possible. We're training recruits in bent over barbells this morning, bent over barbell rows this morning. And just so many of them want to have like a 45-degree angle or higher torso angle. And it's just, we want that mid-back pull. We want the rhomboids between the shoulder blades pulling, and the low back being more isometric stability. So keep it strict, full stretch to the top, or full stretch to the bottom. Get the bar all the way up to your chest or upper abdomen at the top. Sets of 8 for the hypertrophy work. The short effort, we've programmed this one before. If you've been with EFT for a minute, since I've started working for EFT and writing their workouts, the programming, you've seen this one before. I think it's an awesome pairing of movements. 21, 15, 9, sumo deadlift high pulls, and push press. The weight is a little bit heavier than I would normally prescribe for this, normally being 95 pounds at most. We're going a little bit heavier today on this Tuesday with 115 pounds or 75 pounds. But it's a nice push-pull burner. And then our pull-up progression to finish is progress to 30 pull-ups for time if you can't stick with an EMOM. The EMOM is 6 minutes. Every minute on the minute, perform 5 pull-ups. If you want to modify the pull-ups, if you want, whether that's scale up or scale down, add weight or add a band for assistance, do that. You want it to be challenging. You want it to get close to failure by the end of this at least. If you can't stick with that 5 minute, those 5 reps every minute on the minute, then just do 30 for time. Wednesdays are active recovery, EFC, our effective fitness combatives training. And Thursday, April 11th, slow eccentric Bulgarian split squats. I promise I don't hate you. These are just excellent unilateral exercise. It's probably going to elicit some soreness because of that slow eccentric, but we're going for 3 reps per leg. And what I want you to do is build to a 3-rep max safely. If you don't have the range of motion, what could help, first of all, is lowering the platform, the bench, the box that your back leg is elevated up onto. Or if it's really problematic, just do a split squat. But build to a 3-rep max per leg. We're going to follow that up with some strength endurance with the Thick Thighs Save Lives Complex, totally made up name. This is our second time doing this, so that means we're going to go through it twice. So the Thick Thighs Save Lives Complex is 3 reverse lunges per leg, 6 back squats, building to a max weight. This time, though, you're going to do it twice without dropping the weight. So 2 rounds of 3 reverse lunges per leg, 6 back squats. Do as many sets as you need to build to a maximum weight. What will likely happen is the reverse lunges will be the limiting factor. So it'll be the most you can basically reverse lunge that many times, and the back squats just add to the elevation of heart rate, elevation of respiratory rate. So that's the progression. The idea is to minimize how much weight you drop from only having to do it once. All right, so principle of progressive overload, we need to be adding weight, we need to be adding volume, and with this we have added volume. Now, if you can minimize how little weight change from last time you can, that'll be best. But there probably will be less weight because of the greater endurance demand. This week we have the following that complex is a moderate duration multimodal conditioning, all calisthenics this week. All calisthenics, 16 minutes, as many rounds as possible. Likely, at least it is for me, very monotonous. It's just, doing a triplet, a couplet, triplet. With this, we got 4 exercises and just doing those over and over and over again for 15 plus minutes. It's almost boring. It's monotonous at least. And part of the deal is managing that, mentally continuing to push despite it being kind of monotonous and boring. So keep that in mind when you go into this one. We're on to our Flex Friday. This Flex Friday is the same exercises as weeks 1 and weeks 3 of this cycle. It is the same rep scheme as week 1. So go back to, let's see what date it was, March 15th. Go back to March 15th's Flex Friday. It's the same exact day as March 15th. take a look, if you've been around since then, take a look at what weights you did that day and increase them by at least a pound. If some increase 5 pounds, 10 pounds, increase your weights from then. All right, let's progressively overload and by adding weight for this Flex Friday. And then April 13th, Tactical Saturday. We are up to 100-meter sprints. So after your agility, Tactical Pro Agility drill, excellent drill, we got 100-meter sprints. So that's an increase in individual sprint duration, but it's going to be an overall decrease in volume. Last week, we had 10 sets of 75-meter sprints. This week's 4 sets of 100-meter sprints. So less overall volume, but the duration of each sprint is longer. And then now the volume is going to increase for these 100-meter sprints as we progress forward. And then your Tactical Saturday workout, it's a Fight Gone Bad style workout, 6 rounds, 1 minute per station for max reps of deadlift at 135 pounds or 95 pounds. So you're probably going to bang out a lot of reps there. Push-ups, step-ups to a 20-inch box, unloaded, so no weight, sit-ups, and then a rest station. And you go through that 6 times with 1 minute each station. That's a long workout. It's meant to be a long workout. It's our sacrificial Tactical Saturday. So this is the long workout of the week, and this one will not disappoint. You rotate on a running clock. So after the first minute, they start, so at 0 to 1 minutes, you do your deadlifts. From 1 minute to 2 minutes, you do your push-ups. 2 minutes to 3 minutes, you do your step-ups, and you do that with a running clock continuously until 6 rounds are completed. For your tactical skill integration, during that 1 minute rest, you're going to work on tactical breathing, so box breathing. So a 4-second inhale, 4-second hold, 4-second exhale, 4-second hold, continuously. Trying to bring down your heart rate, bring down your respiratory rate. Get yourself under control so that you can burn it down again for another round. All right, that's the week of training. It should be a good one. This cycle is definitely progressing along nicely. If you could probably notice the trends, and that's a key indicator of, and not to pat myself on the back here, it's a key indicator of a good training plan, is that it's just not random. It's not randomness, it's not random. We're going to throw together random exercises on a random day for a random number of reps or durations, because that's what I felt like writing. It's not about what I feel like writing, it's about what's going to make you most effective in the field. And what's going to make you most effective is to gradually and progressively and systematically add volume, add intensity, add weight to this program, to the cycle, through the duration of the cycle. And then we'll just do it all over again. We'll back off, and then we'll ramp up volume, ramp up intensity, ramp up weights for the next cycle, so on and so forth. So that's what we got going on. Enjoy the week of training. It should be a good one. As always, if you have any questions, let us know in the chat or shoot us an email at coach@effective.fitness. Always happy to help. Again, we are your coaches. We are part of the membership, has access to us, and we are happy to help. All right. Have a good week of training. See y'all.